Hello everyone! Today I'm here to share with you all of the books that I'm reading for September and a Book of the Month unboxing. So like I said, today I'm unboxing the September selections for Book of the Month. And Book of the Month is so kindly sponsoring this video, so thank you so much to them. If you haven't heard, Book of the Month is a book subscription box where each month you can select one or more new release books that you can get delivered right to your door. So at the beginning of each month, they select 5 books for you to choose from, ranging from a whole bunch of different genres, such as thrillers and romance, a lot of literary fiction and sometimes nonfiction. Really try to make an emphasis on featuring debut novels and even give you early releases of some books, which is really intriguing. Book of the Month is originally $14.99, and like I said, you can pick a book a month for that, which is actually a really good price. But I have a special code for you to use if you want to try Book of the Month out for your very first time. Use the code SOGOOD at checkout to get your very first book for only $9.99. which is a steal for an adult hardcover, let me tell you. And if you're really not feeling the books that are selected each month, you can skip a month without having any repercussions. You can also pick books from a whole bunch of their backlist books that they have all on their site. So I'll leave all the links down for you below to check them out. Be sure to use the code if you want to get your first book from Book of the Month for only $9.99. I love saying that. That's so catchy and it's a good price. 5 selections I have right here from Book of the Month. The first one being the one I am most excited about, and that is Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. He is one of my favorite authors. I've read every single one of his books, and this is on my September TBR, so just so you know. This one I don't know much about. It's very different. It's not. This one is kind of about, it says, a charming novel about a crime that never took place, a would-be bank robber who disappears into thin air, and 8 extremely anxious strangers who find they have more in common than they ever imagined. So this bank robber holds these 8 people at hostage, and they learn more about each other, and then a crime never happens. So I've heard nothing but amazing things about it, and like I said, he's one of my favorite authors, so I'm excited to read this one this month. Next up, I have The Last Story of Mina Lee by Nancy Joyoon Kim, which the cover is super adorable. This is a mother-daughter story and surprising mystery. It's a profound debut novel that illustrates the devastating realities of being an immigrant in America, so definitely very important to read during this time. And always, honestly, I definitely want to check this out. If not this month, because there's so many other new releases that I have on my TBR, but probably towards the end of the year. Next up, I have Transcendent Kingdom by Ya Gassi. She is a very popular author that I really need to read from, and I might throw this on my September TBR because I've just heard nothing but amazing things about her books. And this cover, it is so beautiful. So this is about a Ghana family in the contemporary South, at once a profound story about race in America and an astonishingly intimate portrait of a young woman reckoning spiritually and intellectually with the legacy of an unmanageable loss. So it sounds amazing. It's about a family of immigrants ravaged by depression and addiction and grief. A novel about faith, science, religion, love. So, super excited to read this. I've heard nothing but amazing things about homegoing, so I might throw this on my TBR because it's short as well. Next up, I believe this is a nonfiction. I could be wrong, but it's called Caste: The Origins of Our Discontents. Hopefully I said that right, by Isabel Wilkerson. So this one is a masterful portrait of an unseen phenomenon in America as she explores through an immersive, deeply researched narrative and stories about real people, how America today and throughout its history has been shaped by a hidden caste system, a rigid hierarchy of human reckon. So it really goes beyond race, class, or other factors. A powerful caste system influences people's lives and behaviors and the nation's fate. So this sounds really interesting. I haven't read, yes, I'm pretty sure this is a nonfiction one. I haven't read a lot of nonfiction ones, and this one is very long, so we'll have to see, but I'm expecting it's going to be amazing. And the last book is called Winter by David Heska. Oh, his whole full name is David Heska Wobbly Whedon. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. I'm so sorry if I didn't. Virgil Wounded Horse is the local enforcer on the Rosebud Indian Reservation in South Dakota. And then when justice is denied by the American legal system, Virgil is hired to deliver his own punishment, the kind that's hard to forget. It's called Winter Counts. Winter Counts is tour de force of crime fiction, a bracingly honest look at the long-ignored part of American life and twisting, turning story that's as deeply rendered as it is thrilling. So this one's going to have to do a lot with Native Americans, which is very important, and I'm very interested to check it out because I've never heard of this author before. So there you have the Book of the Month selections for September. I would love to hear if you're going to read any of them and what selection you would have picked. Again, thank you to Book of the Month for sponsoring this video. And now let's get into all the other books I'm planning to read this month. So like I said, the ones I'm definitely reading, Anxious People, that is definitely on my TBR for sure. Also, and these are all in, I think, release order, Majesty by Catherine McGee. This is the sequel to American Royals, which I read this year, I think. It's kind of like a CW show. It's what if America had royalty, and it basically follows a whole slew of teens as they're in the royal family and things like that. Secrets, like Gossip Girl meets royalty. I don't know. It was addicting, I'll say that. So I'm definitely going to read this one and probably fall in love with it. Next up is Recommended to You by Laura Silverman. This one came out on September 1st, and this one is about a girl that works at a bookstore, and she's trying to get money to like save and stuff like that, and then this other guy decides to work, and basically their boss has this competition of who can sell the most books and da-da-da-da, and she's like, he doesn't even like books. Why does he work here? And then, of course, you can guess, probably romance happens. I eat those YA contemporaries up, literally. Horrid by Katrina Leno. The cover looks really gorgeous. Also, it is the perfect book to read for September because when it hits September, you get the spooky vibes. Like my fallness is coming out full force. So I am just so excited for this one. All I know, it's about a girl that recently lost her dad. So her and her mother moved back to her hometown in her actual like child's home. And she learns like that there's like this bedroom that's locked up that's never been like touched ever, and then she learns like there's this other door, and it's just really kind of creepy, and her mother is really odd, and it sounds very horrid, if you will. I don't know, but I'm excited to read it. So Well Played by Jen DeLuca. This one is the sequel to Well Met. It's one of those adult like romance series that you don't have to read in order or even at all. Like, oh my gosh, that doesn't sound right. Not at all. But you mean like you don't have to read Well Met first to read this one. I would recommend it because it's going to have interweaving characters all throughout them. But this one follows Stacy, who was in the first book. She was like the bar wench in the Renaissance Fair because this whole series is kind of following a Renaissance fair. And I think she falls in love with like the player guy, and they're addicting. And it makes you want to go to a Renaissance fair even though you've never been to one. Or is it just me? Next up is Vampires Never Get Old. This is an anthology written by a whole bunch of people. I believe it's edited by Zordeda Cordova. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And it's basically full to the brim of vampire books. And if you don't know already, your girl's obsessed with vampires. I'll always say Buffy whenever I talk about vampires because that's how I met it. That's how I fell in love with him, and that's how I should always bridge that connection. So yeah, any chance to have vampire books, like I'm there for that, and I'm gonna read this, and I really hope I'll love it. Like anthologies are sometimes good, sometimes not good. I really need this one to be good because vampires. Next up is Ties That Tether by Jane Igoro. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. And this is all about a Nigerian woman that falls in love with, I believe, a white man, and her family really frowns upon it. So she's really having to choose between love or family, and that's what the whole book's dynamic is kind of about. The cover of this one is beautiful. It sounds really great. I'm still very much in a romance mood, so I'm excited to read this one. And then I have a couple books that are actually coming out in October that I probably won't read because October's like the month of reading all the spooky books because your girl is seasonal as mess. So no, one of them is Simmer Down by Sarah Smith. This is about a girl that works like at her family's like Cuban food truck, and then she starts to fall in love with the guy that has another food truck, and he's British. And they kind of have a hate to love thing going on. It sounds adorable. Any books that have food at the core of them, like, I'm there for that. And then lastly, we have Spoiler Alert by Olivia Dade. So this one is about a girl that writes like fan fiction for like this fandom, I believe, and then meets, does she meet the star of who she's writing about that also writes fan fiction? Either way, the guy she meets also writes fan fiction. How cool is that? As an avid reader, or I was an avid reader of fan fiction, like this makes my heart ever so freaking happy. So yeah, those are all the books I'm planning to read in September. There's a lot of them. Who's surprised there? There's a lot of new releases coming out this quarter, like so many. I would love to hear what you're reading, and if you're like me, saving all of your spooky books for October, I would love to hear. Again, if you haven't already, be sure to check out Book of the Month. I will link them down below for you to do so. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.